Okay.
We'll talk more about Austin at the end of this.
All
But
right, cool. So I've basically switched using Grok 4 all day, every day, except for Codex. So Codex, I'm still hitting OpenAI just because there's no Codex equivalent that loops using Grok 4. But the quality I'm finding of Grok 4 is just unsurpassed. Uh, it's as though it intuits what I want much better. It feels smart, like a reserved kind of a smart. Like it's not trying to sound smart. It's very willing. Like it will do anything you ask. I have not had a single safety refusal from it.
it's shameless, isn't it? And it will do it honestly as well.
Honest, shameless, does what
Yeah.
you say. It's yeah. It's uh it's a good model, sir.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh, um,
Expensive model for the Pro version, though. That's the only problem.
you mean heavy?
Yeah, heavy. Yeah, the
Yeah,
$800 one. It's
I
like,
wish maybe Heavy will come to API. I don't know, but really, what Heavy proves is that with a strategy, you can always squeeze much more out of the model. And since we're in the business of strategies, I feel like Heavy's no longer really required. I mean, I don't really use O3 Pro anymore. I
mm,
feel like my questions just aren't that hard anymore. Like
mm,
I had plenty of questions for O1 Pro because I needed that minimum level, right? But now O3 on its own, Grok 4, like they're pretty much,
blown through
they
it.
surpass my needs. And
Yeah.
I'm worried that I'm like, yep, this is more than I need. Like maybe
Probably,
I'm a loser, but
yeah, maybe not needing enough. Yeah.
yeah, right. Maybe I'm not needy enough. That's true. But in terms of needing heavy or anything like that, like it really starts to come down to structure, strategy, shared knowledge bases, shared preferences, fine tuning, all those things.
Context. Context is king.
Yeah,
Uh,
context. Yeah. So anyway, that's that. I started like asking open questions, right? Like I'm like, hey, if I wanted to attribute revenue fairly to all contributors of a project, how might I go about it? And then it's what I find this is good for is like helping. It covers the vocabulary pretty well.
mm-hmm.
Because there's something to be said for like the the models cover almost all possibilities. They may not pick the best one, but with a couple of runs in the model, you can get more options than you could ever have by yourself. Plus,
Mm-hmm.
there's a fairly good chance that you've covered all options. And then
Mm.
I think the human is always going to be good at picking which option is actually the one to go with. But in terms of gathering all options, like that's a very different quality of output.
Yeah, no, I agree. One thing I've noticed, all three doing those is truncating. When you say me all options, it doesn't. It gives you four options.
Yeah, so Grok 4 doesn't feel lazy. Like it will happily go for, I think I had about a 3 minute run the other day, or it'll come back within 2 seconds. So it's quite lenient. It doesn't appear to have any hard stops. Its real timeness feels much more ingrained. Like you never feel like you've hit a hard stop. With
Mm.
the O3 models, you're like it feels like you hit a hard knowledge cut off, and then it used a web search tool. Whereas here, the real time stuff feels more entrenched in it. It's not someone from the past pondering over the future through the lens of a web browser. It's
Yeah, yeah. And all three definitely slopes some of the work onto the user.
yeah,
Whereas, you know, it always ends, or it doesn't always, but quite often ends in a question saying, what do you think about the above? It's like, well,
yeah.
you're
It's
the
like
AI man.
yeah, like I come to you to tell me what to think. You
Yeah,
stupid. Um, yeah, so that's where that's at. This is the state of play with the Dreamcatcher. So I can say, let me just be super bold here and like
Mm-hmm.
do the classic.
Yeah, real time demo.
Let me like actually commit some code and then demo that very code.
Yeah. It'll never work. It'll never work.
Oh, hater, hater,
Do you know
hater,
that song?
hater. I know the feeling. Absolutely know the feeling.
Way back when I was, oh yeah, wee whippersnapper had to well, I didn't, but someone else had to put a hammer through a $20,000 glass master for a CD run of a game because we did a commit at the last moment, and it was a comma. It
A
was a
comma.
fucking comma.
Oh, because someone was like, I know what I'm doing, and like hand typed it.
Yep. Yep.
Well, well, well. Um, so yeah, I'm just really starting to feel the AGI, I suppose. And I'm starting to feel like we got some good, there's a good opportunity for us. I don't know yet if the tier one guys are really trying to. They don't care about all these gaps they're leaving. They're just like, we got to get to the place where our AI model can generate the next AI model, and then we'll come back and wipe out all the little gaps that you guys filled, whatever. But the point is that for now, and for hard to say how long, but for a unforeseeable amount of time, there's gaps left everywhere.
I
And
agree. And I was thinking about this the other day. What appears to be the tier one guys are in an arms race, or not quite an arms race, but in a race for the vertical. They're not looking widely.
no, it's almost like it's not. I wish I understood more about that strategy, but it's almost like it doesn't even matter to them. They just want to out push that out to the builders as much as they
Yeah,
can because they know that the builders are sending all their usage, all their prompts, all their everything is going straight to the tier ones, and they're like, we're gonna figure that out.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
But not now. Yeah,
as we discussed, our long term belief is that tier two sticks around. Like it's that I really want to like double and triple down on that principle that no matter how good your AI is, with a structure, with a strategy, with some training, and with some knowledge base, you can get far more success out of it. And I see many proofs of that, but one of them is humans. You take like the smartest guy in the world and give him a task for the first time, he'll probably screw it up. But after a while, you figure out strategies and you study, you train, you learn, and you
yeah.
specialize, and then you perform better than the uninitiated. And I think the same is true for AIs.
I agree. I agree. And I think there's a well, there's certainly a race on for uh, you know um, getting the best metric for the next release. Um, and it sounds like they're throwing a shit ton of cash towards that,
Yeah.
leaving lots of gaps. Now, whether that's because they think they're going to swoop back round and say, "Hey, we've got all this usage, and now we've got something that looks a bit AGI-ish," and go back, but
Yeah.
I don't think they'll get all the gaps because
No.
um, the people trying to do it and generating the user data, and they can go back and saying, "Ah, this is what they're really meant to be doing."
Gaps might just be actually par for the course, and it's just gaps forever. It might
Yeah,
just be that.
yeah.
Um, so here we go. Say your name. We are thinking. I'm Grok. Um, none of your
Is that
business.
a winky emoji?
Yes,
That's cheeky.
it is cheeky. What's on your mind? Tasty, tasty murder. There's a minor bug that the actual text of the reasoning doesn't come back, but you can see it streaming the actual token generation, which I personally can't live without. Um,
Where did that come from? Pro tip: I don't actually recommend eating crows.
a murder of crows.
Oh, fucking pun.
That's very punny,
Yeah.
but don't do that again. So yeah, it's this is Grok 4 streaming away. I have the performance looks pretty good in my opinion. Like the performance of our platform is roughly as close as, like, we're not limiting or inhibiting the speed of the model in any way. We're
Right. So the experience
as
is going to be pretty much the same as going to tier one and
yeah,
yeah.
going to tier one directly. And I've tested it with GPT 4.1, 4.0, oh 04 mini. You know, basically we got that whole library of AI providers that we're now able to draw upon. I haven't hooked up transcription, but this library, the way that it's been integrated here, allows us easily to do transcriptions from DeepGram, OpenAI, uh, Grok, they're
Yeah.
all over the place. So it's
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
really,
There's
it
loads
was
of
a hell
options.
of a struggle, but we got the generality of the, like, we got all the AIs now. Um, you can see that I can go into the repo, grab my home repo, look into the chats function. You'll be pleased to note I have added the ability to delete folders. A single click on a folder gives you options on it.
Hey.
Delete the folder. Here's Blizz. And eventually, this bit's a little sluggish. I'll fix it later. The folder disappears. There you go. Chats was where we were in, so double click to get in there. We are in P163. Obviously, the naming and that needs to be friendliarized. Uh, the config, so config here, it's just provider XAI model Grok 4, but there's like hundreds that we can configure. I was going to make it in this config drop down where you click that and it's like you can switch to each one, all that.
Yeah, and in due
Messages,
course there'll be an app to do that for you.
yeah,
Something to
like an auto router or something like that.
yeah.
Here's the actual messages. So this is my user message. Say my name. Uh, this was the assistant message. So it came back with its reasoning step and then its text step. I'll add to that extra decorators over time, like how many tokens did each message use, and all that. But the point I'm trying to make is that this is in Git now. This is a, a file on disk. You can
Right.
now treat it like transclude it into context, treat it like a file, push it to GitHub, push it back from GitHub, summarize it, branch it, fork it, squish it, pull it, everything. Uh,
Brilliant.
and
Very good.
that's that
Um,
really. That was
Nothing to say about
a
that other than brilliant.
a
the
despairing amount of work, is what that was.
I mean, the only thing is really minor, but getting semantic names for these as well as the hashes. Um,
For the messages, you mean, or for the
y-
chats?
yeah, for the chats.
For the chats, buddy, all these things will come to you. But
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I know that there's just a pent up mountain of stuff we need to change, but we got to hold the line and get it into this little lamp box, which is the
here we go. There's
faults.
the golden goose.
I think that that lamp is the like if we can just hold the fuck on to whatever we're doing, like just ignore all the rough edges, the crappiness, the broken, the slow, the expensive, just to get this lamp lit
Yeah,
where like the faults come in here. The faults are dealt with here. If we can do that, then we can start working backwards and patching and filling. We can have schedules like timelines because we'll know what's remaining. We'll be able to do all any. You can just have a chat about the timeline. Be like, how long until this thing happens? It's like, well, given that I can see everything that's going on, I see this, I see that, I see this commit, that commit. I think that this poor motherfucker's got another 5 years or something, right? Like,
at the current at the current rate.
yeah, but because
Yeah,
it can see the commits, it can see the repos, and it can grind through them, and you can transclude all that stuff. That's like that's where we got to get to the faults.
yeah.
So this bit, getting this AI hooked up like this, felt like man, just the most incredibly hard against the grain thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I did it in a way that was like running untrusted code on the server. Um,
I
you
see.
know,
I
we
see.
got frames here. Like, the more I think about frames, I'm like, frames is actually really good. Like, all the AIs are trying to have this little stateboard thing where they do little bits and pieces to adorn it. No one's made an app format that's designed to be driven by the AI and controlled by the AI. Like, it's all just like, an MCP server is not even that.
Yeah,
But like a new form of delivering apps that is this just in time isolated model, like that's kind of cool. Um,
it is, and I continue to keep my eye out for it, but I can't see anyone even thinking about it, even talking about it.
Say that again, sorry.
I go, I keep my eye out for it, but I
Right.
can't see
Yeah. Right.
anyone even talking about it,
Right. So
which is
yeah, like
strange because it seems obvious. But yeah,
yeah. So here's basically the thing, um, and now I'll just I don't think I made too much mess when I made this. Like everything kind of sort of still held together.
mm-hmm.
Um, so I'll go around and just put the polish on and sort of make it so that it sort of looks a bit nicer and the selection works. And the main thing is getting the transcludes
Yeah, yeah,
because that's basically the order I think I'm doing now is like fix up all the sort of the bad parts of this uh, setup, which I don't think are that many, but you might tell me some other ones. Get transcludes working so you can have context. Get tool calls working so that you can call naps and do
yep,
other things. Um, and then get innovations working.
yeah,
Oh man,
yeah. Once we get there, we're flying.
yeah,
Transcludes for me is the big one, because
yep,
that's the point where I can start using this. Innovations is big for everyone else, the world. But transcludes means I can start using the tool, like back in Howard's days.
right.
Um,
It becomes hell useful, right? And
yeah,
then yeah, so it's still just you click on chats and you get the list of chats. The search isn't much; it's just mechanical. Um,
no, that would do for
I,
now.
I don't even know if it even works right now. No, it doesn't. Whatever. Um, yeah, like new chat works. Delete chat
Oh,
works.
here's okay. So this is trivia. I'm sorry. Uh,
Right.
it's just it reduces a lot of friction when transcludes come over. You see that hash there
Delete.
on any choose one.
This
If
one.
there was a way to rename that without wiping out the hash,
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, absolutely. So
so
that's
that
just
can be done
the
manually. And actually, many respects, you kind of want to do it manually because you might
yeah.
have a different intent than is
Okay,
picked up.
so that's just naming the chat.
Actually, that is something that bugs me with OpenAI because they name it through the AI, but they name it very quickly on the first couple chats. Now,
Yeah, so as the chat progresses, you want the name to change, right? And
yeah, but if it changes, you're then hunting and pecking around. It's like, oh shit, we called it that. Now where is it? Whereas if you name it, or if you at least have an
mm,
option, I'm assuming it because it's just a file. It's just a file name change.
mm,
Um,
that
that
definitely sounds like a minor detail, sir.
Yeah, I know. It's a minor detail with big impact because without good search, you're going to be hunting and pecking. Um, but we've got bigger. Well, you've got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, no. We got to get on to the CRM guys because they're about to lose the flame. And I just wonder if there isn't a way that you can help me with that somehow.
Yeah,
Um,
sure. I mean, we want to do it on this platform, but
yeah.
it would be picking up where we got to in terms of you know taking their transcripts, creating the definitions, and then
No, it's not that. It's like I know what the app needs to be, and I don't know what to do, man. Like at what point can I give you something that's useful so that I can switch back to them?
um,
I think I only need like really maybe a couple of days on them, but that it could be up to a week and a half. I just
they're going to need transcludes, though, aren't they?
no, they're really not, man. They're gonna need two naps. The naps share a file system between them, and they're just switching between the two naps for now.
So never go things like, um, prompting consider zone
No,
one, consider zone
no,
three.
they don't want any AI. Well, they don't need any AI for this, and for just enough nap to get them something useful that'll save the company 2 hours a day. For just
Hmm.
that, they don't need AI.
Hmm. Okay.
But I guess my question is, when can I switch back to them?
I would say if you can get transcludes up, then at that point, because transcludes opens up a whole bunch of stuff
All right, so I'll
doing.
get you. Okay, so I'll actually not hit the lamp until a
Yeah,
bit later,
yeah.
right? But I'll get you. Do you want to be able to change the model?
Um, no, we can just swap to Grok 4.
Grok 4 is amazing. Okay, do you want tools with Grok 4?
Um, uh, no, I could do quite a lot without it. Maybe 60% of stuff
Okay, do you
without
need
tools.
like you need Grok's inbuilt tools though, right? Like search.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
they got. Let me see what they got here. Um, let me just confirm this. So this is currently all to get to online any one of these providers. All we got to do is open an account and generate an AI key,
All right, that's easy enough.
and then we have
And
it.
more, I'm assuming that list is just going to keep on going more and more.
Yeah, yeah, and it all our UI works, our tool calling works, our storage works, the transclusion, all that stuff. Now each model will need a little bit of tweaking. Like you might find that Grok needs or prefers one concat format, and OpenAI prefers or works better with a different concat format for the transcludes.
Hmm.
But that's sort of fairly trivial. Um, these are. I reckon if I just sign up for like 8 accounts, would pretty much cover the whole game.
Yeah,
Um,
it's got search, it's got docs, it's got email, presumably it's got Cal. Um,
what?
that probably covers half of everything that anyone ever does.
Oh no, it doesn't have email. We don't. We need to add email.
Oh, it doesn't have email on that list. I thought I saw it. Oh, okay.
What?
Oh, they've got to do email.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? Where
As
did you
in,
see it?
um, there. Oh, no, no, no. Okay, right.
Let's Google the AI provider.
No, I
No,
just
like
assumed.
email is something that. So I looked
Phone.
into this. I want email so bad you don't even know. Like if I never
I hate
seen,
email. Oh.
me too.
but
That's
but
why I want to connect it.
everyone else loves it.
I
There
know,
are a lot of
and I'm
workers.
like, if I could never type another email myself, that would be, winning. Google's cranking up the price of our email hosting, and I'm like, that's so annoying. Like they're like, oh, we got to provide more AI service. I don't want your AI service. I don't even really want your email, to be
Yeah,
honest. So,
yeah,
so we're out of there. And so I looked at how to handle our side of things being email, like what I need to deploy into Fly.io and other types of apps and all that, that's looking very very feasible. Um, and then I looked at, can other people who don't want to switch their email over to us be able to connect us up to their email? And so with Gmail, you can basically do it straight away, and then
yeah.
we'd be
What you
able
mean,
to.
like create a Proton account and
No, no, no. Like with
squirt it over?
Gmail allows us to connect up using an API to read messages and create drafts and send messages from the user's account. So they'd browse to us. They'd be like, "I want to connect my Gmail," and then we'd walk them through this torturous loop to connect give us permission to access their email inbox, and then it would start to appear as a Git repo.
All right. Okay.
The other one is Office 365. So Microsoft also allows a similar thing, provided that your domain admin has allowed you that permission. You can hook your email up to whatever, and then
Yeah.
um, so those are
I'm
just
like,
table stakes
I'm
things that we need.
looking forward to when emails die. Um, but yeah.
You
Um,
may die first, my friend. I'm sad to say.
mm, Probably.
You
Mind
may
you,
die first.
I remember holding a wake for the fax machine, so you never know.
The fax
Um,
machine was stupid, and you you knew it when you used it.
it's just as stupid as email. Uh,
No,
it's just
email. I would demand a bit more respect from you for email, because it is a genuinely decentralized communications network. It is one of
so
the
with fax
few.
machines.
Um, so are humans, but no
Right.
one counts it like that because of the fallacies hide the beauty. Like the fact that we can only talk to, our voice only carries X number of meters, makes it feel not very decentralized.
Okay. Well,
Um,
here's my thought, and this is a bit of a rabbit hole, but here's a bit of a stuck. What I'd like to do is to talk to the bot and then say, right, okay, can you make sure that everyone in marketing knows about this, but make sure that this guy in the other company that we're working with, he also knows about it. Talk to their bots, and then when my bot talks to these other bots, it comes up in a stream, like that kind of top level stream, saying, "Hey, it's got this, and it's recorded, and so it's like you can stream through and go, right, okay, yeah, yeah, fine." And then you go back saying, "Oh, what did it say last Tuesday? Something about a meeting today, wasn't it?" Because searching the problem with mail that I've got or email is the noise to signal ratio is appalling.
Oh yeah. Look, that's the nature of communication. Email is just one channel. We need to do that across all channels. We need
Right.
to, so it's not like solving that is just par for the course. Solving it for email is solving it for all.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's just stuck. It's not for now, but it's
Yeah.
just a rabbit hole.
Yeah. I want that too, buddy. Fear not. So does everyone else, I believe.
Yeah.
I Why don't we have that already?
I don't know.
Maybe we do and we're just not aware of the tools, but we are close to that. Like this is because of how the back end is.
Yeah.
This is not that far from being able to do that because this is all just sitting there in a Git repo. And it's
Well,
like,
yeah, yeah.
here's all my files.
I can easily see an app that connects to my email that looks at incoming email and just doesn't bother me with, "Hey, we've got a new subscription offer." No, no,
Yeah.
no. Just go away.
Yeah. It
Go away.
handles that. But there's also deeper ways to deal with that too, where it's like, well, now we're going to start honeypotting. So we make one email address for you per company, and it used to be too hard to do that for the average person to comprehend or manage all that. But
Yeah.
with the bots, it's like, no, we'll just make a disposable email account every time, and then if something comes in that shouldn't, we'll just block that and report it because clearly they lost their contact list.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all those kinds of things.
Anyway, that was a bit of a rabbit hole, but yeah. Okay, so in summary, you get transcludes up. Uh, that unlocks a lot of what I'm being asked about.
Okay,
Um,
so I'll give
and
you.
then we can go to CRM
All
at
right, so
that
I'll
point.
give you this chat, and then obviously a few little minor requests that you're like, oh, can you let me rename the chat? Can you let
Oh,
me do this?
that's that's just. I mean, I
And
could
just
take paper notes for that,
yeah,
or
or yeah, like you can just talk to me, and I'll give you little polished bits here and
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Um, okay, the bot, we'll stick it on Grok 4, and we'll leave it with search auto search mode with web and X.
yep. Web's a really powerful one.
Yeah,
That's a must have.
yeah. And then that's about it, I think.
Do you know which search Grok goes to for web?
No, I think it's their own because basically the funny thing about every tier 1 model provider is that they have to crawl the web, and
Yeah, because
so
another tier one is not going to allow you to use theirs.
no, but also like tier 1's crawlers, tier 1 has to be a crawler. And if they're crawling for model training data, they're like, well, we might as
Oh
well
yeah,
make
yeah,
it
that's a fair
just
point.
work. So
Yeah.
they're interesting. They look like Google on the outside. Like it's real weird. They've got a single box where you type in and they
Mm.
crawl the web and they summarize it. It's just that with Google, it summarized it using conventional classical lookups. But with
Ah,
tier
that's
one,
interesting.
it summarizes it using large language models, but it's still just summarized.
It'd be quite interesting to see. You can spot web crawlers on your logs.
Yeah.
I wonder how that's
Oh, it'd be wild.
balanced.
It'd be fucking all over the place. It'd be
Yeah,
OpenAI, would be crawling hard, Anthropic, everyone. Like they have to
yeah,
crawl. They have to be crawlers. That's who they
yeah,
are. Yeah, so I'll give you that with Grok. It's really not a big deal to add some other ones, but if you could just just ask me for what ones you want. We'll
yeah.
start with Grok 4. You'll probably want to hit me up about formatting, and I'm sure you'll figure a few other things out that you want.
Well, so if the order is, I can get transcludes up, then off to CRM, then I'll not bother you with we, you know,
Oh no, I like
formatting
little
stuff.
wee things. You'd be surprised how quickly I can bang them out with codecs. It's just all
Huh.
it
Well,
all
you get a
just
dopamine hit every time you do a wee thing.
yeah, well, that's the funny thing, right? Like it's no longer a couple of hours. It's really just 30 seconds to say it and then wait 10 minutes and then a minute to review it and then
Yeah.
go. And that's weird, man.
So the other thing would be naps. Would be the next thing.
Naps what though? Naps.
Um, well, if you take OSINT stuff, there could be a nap to prune and dedupe in a specific way that you could go through a chat for, but it's repeatable and it's always the same thing. And so you want that nap called, just say, prune the tree.
Okay, when you say you want a nap, what's how do you want to be able to create new naps?
Yeah, I'm expecting that's going to come pretty fast after
This is
transclusions.
yeah, I mean this is already done with naps. This is done. This chat process is being supplied by a nap in the background.
Yeah, but at the moment, if I wanted a nap, I'd have to go to you and go, hey, can you get this thing done?
Yeah, you would. How do we
Bucket
get out of
functionality.
that? How? So, because the code, you'd want to use a bot for it,
Yep.
right? So, if I made you a nap that you could chat with and it would make you a new nap, that's kind of the thing you're asking for there, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, in natural language, just describing in slightly clunky, pseudocodey ishy kind of, can you do this?
Yeah.
And it knows the context, create the nap, and then that nap is just executed when it seems fit, which comes to your question, which you taxied over, where you got a few questions about naps.
Yeah. Um, so chats transcludes. Are you gonna want repo in and out of GitHub?
I don't really care for now. I will care,
How are you
obviously,
gonna
but
get the data out of the chat? Like, do you want to download it somehow, or you just want to get the final output?
it'd be cursor like. It's like, reference this chat, this file, and what I'm about to talk to is that's the context.
Yeah, but what do you do with it once you got it? Like, are you looking for just something you can copy paste? Are you looking for something that you can read, understand, and feel satisfied that now you know it?
Or you mean like a display on the repo side?
Well, what are you going to do with the data? How do you get the data out of the system
Oh, out. Oh, you mean for
for whatever
some
you're
kind of
going to do
final
it
thing?
for? Well, what are you going to do with it? Like,
Right. Are you talking about a download?
yeah, well, I don't know. Like, what are you doing? What are you?
All right.
Let's say
Let's
you've
think
worked
in the.
all day on
All right.
chats and transcludes. Do you do
Okay.
anything more with that, or what do you do?
Okay. So let's take the Austin example. So you're putting in information. You don't know where it goes. The AI will store it in the most appropriate place. Then you can bring back saying, "Tell me everything about Joe Smith." Uh,
Right. So you
and
want file system access from within the chat.
yeah, yeah. That's
Like you want
so.
to. So you want more than just the fact that it writes the chat to disk. You want to also be reading and writing full files from the file system, right? So you
Yeah,
need a file system net.
you want to be able to stash something, and it could be a file, it could be a URL, it could be a note
Oh,
on
you
it.
would just keep on asking for more things, don't you?
Well, wait until this goes live and then
I
see
mean,
the torrent of stuff.
it's technically live now. I mean, I don't have billing, so everyone's just getting a free ride. But
Mm.
Grok's
Um,
cheap, man. Grok's cheap for what it does. It's crazy.
yeah, yeah, it's an interesting race. Uh, how about I talk you through because I've been doing a lot of checking out how OSINT might work
Yep.
in a cursor-like environment.
Okay.
Um,
So
as
did I
a
just my question of when can I switch back to the trucking guys feels like that just blew out of the water because you need chats, file system, transcludes, and then you wanted naps, but you could maybe wait for naps. I don't know. You could ask me for naps for little ones, or
um, uh, well, there's always cut and paste. I mean, if you were to type in a message here saying, please summarize this in Markdown format, it's going to give you a Markdown format in a chat, presumably.
God, it feels good to have an AI.
Yeah. Thinking, thinking, thinking. All right. Okay. So now we've got, um, in terms of a minimum, now I've got something I can copy and paste. Hey, and copy and paste is not great. Um, but
So would
one
you
step
would
up
you
above.
want something like
Yeah, store that. You know,
so write the summary you just made to the file system, and you'd expect it to know where to choose the path.
yeah. You remember way back on with how we could do that? It's like write this file.
I know. Years go
Um,
by and we have less features.
yeah, but if you could do that, if you could just say store this file in somewhere that makes sense, would be great. But even store this, oh, I can't remember the syntax we used, but it was like backslash file folder, you know, file
Yeah,
name.
that's right. That's right.
Uh,
Slash file.
even that would be good
Ever-
because what you
ah,
can do then is you can
yeah.
start building up inside of the repo stuff because of transclusion you can bring back in because each of these chats is there for an intent and you get
Oh,
my intent has been fulfilled. Yeah, that's great. So now I want an asset, a file,
an asset.
and what am I going to do with
Yeah,
that? Otherwise, I would just do
yeah.
a copy and paste into the repo, which seems
Right. Well, you also don't
odd.
have that ability yet either. Um,
Well, I could go around the back end and
yeah. So
do
there's
it.
kind of like that needs to be a frame that gives you edit ability. This is very frustrating. It feels like we've traveled further to have less. Um,
Well, by edit, you mean edit on the repo or edit on a file?
what's the difference between those two things? Like I was
Uh,
meaning, so here's the file browser, and I was meaning going into here and going edit. Like the edit function isn't, it's not there yet.
I wouldn't.
You can download
Um, yeah, I just want to stash it in a heap somewhere.
just in a file. So like you would
Yeah.
be like at the root, you'd make a new folder called
Yep. Kind of whatever stash, whatever.
Smax's
Um,
Pit.
yeah, and you just stick it in there, and then
And we're like,
give it
in
a
the
name.
Smacks Pit, we're
Yeah,
like, yeah, just chuck it
just
there.
just chuck it there. I don't know what to do with this yet.
Right.
Because a lot of Austin is a really interesting use case. I think around trying to come up with analysis of uncertain data. Fascinating. You'd love it. So you get a chunk of data and you don't know what to do with it. So you put it in a bucket.
Yeah.
I'll figure that out later.
Yeah.
But then because we've got transclusions, you can do long grinding ones saying, look through all my buckets of everything for this answer to this question. And then you go, oh, right, okay. So this Facebook post or, this chunk of data actually links these two people. And then you go, okay, right. That fact I need to stash somewhere, um, which is the, okay, so stack that into, assertions. Um,
Man, I love this awesome idea.
it's really fruitful for testing the
And it's very
testing
good
this.
for AIs, because it's like it's not clear what the answer is. The AI needs to think laterally. Hallucinations might be your friend. Even,
Yeah,
it's not. It's like the
and there's
opposite of.
also contradictions to deal with as well on the Austin thing.
Hmm.
It's like, hey, we've got four names here. Is this the same guy? It's like, well, it might be. They've got the same phone.
That's right. And then it can like develop
Or no,
little,
two of them got the same
like,
phone.
it could develop active OSINT, which is like, here's a test or here's a range of tests. If you can, like, if you get four people to call that all those numbers all at once and they can all
Yeah,
talk to the guy, then you know that it's different.
exactly. And then you can get the. This is why I'm really excited about the Austin thing with AI because it can just churn over, and it's like
Yeah.
it's exactly how there's a brilliant book. Can't remember the name of it, but it's basically how the CIA does analysis.
Right. So we
And
should be able to parse that book and develop some strategies and some naps that can
yeah,
help sort of apply that. Okay.
yeah,
So what am I gonna do, buddy? It feels like I'm stuck here being a coding bitch for another year. Um,
yeah. Hopefully
what?
not another year. That would
Well,
be
what you're asking for, it's at least a couple more weeks, I think. Like,
okay.
I feel like the really crunchy stuff's out of the way. There's still
Yeah,
tuning and blah 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 blah, but the AI is hooked up. It's writing to the file system. Great.
right.
Tell me what you want next. You want transclusions, and
Yep, of course.
yep,
And then,
file system access in tools.
yep, that would be very helpful to be able to say stash this in the appropriate
Stash
buckets,
it. Yeah,
or write this to this folder. And I'll tell you what the folder is.
right.
And
Now,
then
why
because you've got
can't? Because you got codecs, right? Because you might be able to actually do some of the nap work on codecs.
yeah, might be. I'll need a bit of steering through it.
Yeah, because the way I get it set up, like it's always rocky to set up a new project, but once you've set it, what you end up with is I'll show you what I mean actually. If I could find it, I mean crumbs. Why is my life so complicated? Um,
because it's getting simpler with AI.
well, right. So in Codex, for example, what I get it set up to do. So this is working on. I'll show you one that's working on an actual nap.
Mm.
This one did work on the actual nap that is running that chat that you're seeing. Uh, Now, what I do is I set it up with a global task that checks everything, runs all the tests, runs the linter, runs the formatting, checks that it can publish okay.
Is that
Uh,
invariant between naps? Is it the same? So off the shelf.
it's the tests vary between each nap, but
Mm-hmm.
one of the little spoken about properties of Codex is that it won't really leave you without enough tests. Like if you set a test up, it will make sure that it doesn't break the test in stupid ways. If you ask for a new feature, it will add new tests in to cover it. The whole friggin' purpose of naps was to break down or componentize the intent that you want to achieve into a tiny little module. It doesn't seem too far from me that if you and I have a chat about a handful of little naps you want, I can set you up starter for 10 versions and be like, this sort of works, this kind of doesn't work, this blah blah blah, and set it up with this sort of base framework that I've made for all the naps, and then you can just start chatting with Codex to make the changes. And
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
so long as that
Yeah,
green tick passes, you're able to. You don't have to wait for me anymore.
yeah, because there's loads of small things, and
Yeah,
I can break up the OSINT into, I don't know, well, even top of my head, because there's like a dozen types
yeah.
and
So
things that
so
need to be
there's
triggered.
so there's two options there. You can either do a bit of coding using Codex, or you can work hard to make good issue descriptions in the innovation section, where you're like, this is what I want to do, this is what I tried, and then you and I can work together, and I can make you what you want. Those are the options,
Probably,
I think.
what I'd like to do is do one of those as a bit of a hello world, see what you're doing,
Mm,
and then try and do it myself, and then
mm.
come up with a really shitty thing and saying, why have I just crashed the internet? Um, and work from there
Yeah,
because
right. Why did I crash the internet? Yeah, like, oh, sorry, dude. I just I clicked merge,
yeah,
and
and satellites are falling from the sky. I think it's something to do with me.
but it's only
Um,
every 1 in 7. Yeah. Okay.
but the important thing is, well, not the important thing. Using Codex, I will just be taking whatever it flops to encode, because as soon as I start messing with that, then I'm hiding to nothing.
So how do we? Okay, so two questions then. How do we make it so that you're not on a hiding to nothing? Because we need to be able to have Codex functionality on our platform and it not make you feel like it's making you feel. You're like, you should have more of a say. Like, we need an agent that acts like a product manager. You talk
Right,
to the product manager sorts out all this crap.
right. So you remember way back when we were on, I think it was GDP3, um, with that Python version of Tetris and
Yeah,
Snake and that sort of thing.
yeah,
And I was running locally, and I run the code, and all I was doing was taking the errors, sticking it back in, and I was going, "Oh, you've not installed this." npm blah blah blah. All right, did it? Another error, another error, another error, another error. It was
yeah,
very repetitive, but eventually it got code that would run, and it's like,
yeah,
"Hey, Tetris."
yeah.
Um, so that was a very early example of that. So, by if we were to say that you don't have sight of the code, because at some level you could ask it to run faster, but to start with, you just want it to work.
Mm.
If it were to cycle around, I'm not sure whether the Codex already does this. It's saying, how do we make this work? It's like, oh, right,
Codex
okay,
does that. Yeah, Codex does that.
yeah.
Checks it, doesn't work, loops back, gets the
Well,
error, tries
well,
again.
here's another way of asking the same question from another direction. Where do you have to intervene? Where does it fall down?
With Codex,
Yeah, because we want interventions to be zero. That's the target.
I have to intervene between runs. That's the horrible space.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing. I'm the only one that carries on the intent between the runs.
Ah, which is context, right?
Well, it's context, but it's goals, and then there's also like there's a like continuous background processes that I want, which is like find deduplication in the code base, find efficiencies, find opportunities to simplify the architecture. Have I got two modules here and I need to split one out, or are these several
But
modules needing to be combined?
I mean, that sounds like you just listed 5 heuristics, which should always stand and can be done as a background task.
Yeah, so that's really what we got to get to, right? We need the ability to have background tasks But we also need this front ground task, which is the product manager, and that's who you talk to create stucks, and then the product manager goes off and tries to fix them. And you can get involved as much or as little as you like, but you probably, what I would expect is that there'd be 100 different product manager tasks running, and I'd be getting called on the ones that are making no progress or burning tokens, getting nowhere. They continually fail. Like number of active users, number of active humans who have hit up a particular product manager problem but made little progress. Then I'd be like, I should probably jump in there. Right? Like that's what
Hmm.
we're trying to get to, yeah? Because it's like we need to, one of the milestones we got to hit is when can not Tom make naps? And
Yeah.
but when can not Tom make naps is kind of feels easier to make it when can not any human make naps? When
Yes.
machine naps?
Yeah. And this problem of specifying in natural language code that just works is right in the crosshairs of many thousands of coders right now. Lots of people trying to solve that.
Lots of people trying to solve it, and it might not be. First of all, I believe the solution is you can't have these whopping great programs that you used to have and expect that to work. You have to break down, you have to have a framework that breaks it down into little bits. That's what Naps is about. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
the smaller it is, the more chance you got.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the big programs that the humans make, like SAP, they don't fucking work either. So I don't know who the fuck expects like right?
This
Like
is
they don't work.
this is a well kent problem, right?
Yeah.
It's just like bloatware. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry. Literally. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
That was it.
Biggie biggie brokey brokey. It doesn't work
Yeah.
when it's big. So we got to make it small. Here's a framework that makes it I don't know how you could make a useful piece of software that was smaller than an app, because it's like here's an AI. The AI is going to call it for you. It takes JSON in, gives you JSON out, and it might modify some files if you want.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a
What the
common interface. It's untrusted. Run in frames, and
Yep.
uh, if you keep it small, then you get nap to nap integration of Lego bricks, and
Yeah.
Lego is
So
not
tell me about Nap to Nap. What is Nap to Nap from your
nap to
perspective?
right. Here's an obvious one. It's like, okay, let's run this query 3 times, and the three threads that you've or run, sorry, on one thread, run a nap 3 times where we've got uncertain output, and each of those naps puts it to a fourth nap that has some kind of voting logic.
When you say nap, are you talking about these particular naps are hooked up to an AI in some way?
Yes.
So
So we're talking about a
could I,
running instance of it. So those three
yeah.
could be the
So
same.
a running instance of a nap doesn't necessarily have to talk to an AI. It could just be like conventional code.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
you seem very much almost exclusively interested in the type of nap that will talk to an AI, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let me get this straight. You want naps that contain some prompting, some knowledge base, some classical code tools, and all that can be chatted to or spoken to using a plain language interface or maybe a function call, but either way, under the hood, they will make an AI call, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if I can choose a simple example, you would want to set up a chat so that it had the front facing bot. Let's call that Grok 4. It is loaded with tools where each one of these naps, these three different naps, is a different tool on passed into that Grok chat. And just for simplicity's sake, each nap is simply the same, except it uses a different model, like one's O3,
or different temperature, or something is different. Yeah,
something minor is different, right?
yeah.
And so you could probably the most reliable way is to make a single tool call where Grok decides to call the tool and enters the prompt that um, each of these bot naps is going to get, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That tool runs, it spreads out the load, calls all three in parallel. They all start to run. The result comes back. Each result is returned as basically the result of a tool call as seen by Grok. Grok sees the three results. It made one, from Grok's perspective, it made one tool call, and then it got one tool call result. In that result was the three individual results from each of the naps, yeah?
yep. And then it knows to send those three results to a fourth instance of an app, and
Yeah,
maybe voter logic, maybe coin
right.
toss
Okay,
doesn't work
but
with
why did you
trees,
say
but
instance of a nap versus access to a nap?
because let's take uh, a stupid example. I want a joke about the prime minister uh, at temperature 0, temperature 50, whatever.
Yeah,
Um, three different temperatures,
right.
and then I want another nap to receive each of those and do stuff that that nap is being prompted to do. Combine them, make them witty, take the most obvious one, go for puns, whatever you want, and then return it. That is a process flow. And if we get a process flow, you can do obviously a whole bunch of interesting things where
I'm not seeing
an
the
interim step
I'm
is
not.
being passed to another nap with the context, but the each stage is not necessarily the same nap, but it can be. So the first three,
Yeah, I'm not seeing the
um,
difference between instance.
well, you're passing. Say if you got a nap that says, "Okay, I make jokes about stuff."
Yeah,
I receive your prompt and a requested temperature
yep,
as a variable.
yep.
So it does that. You pull up the nap codes for a second time, you have a different temperature. Pull up a third one, different temperature, but it's the same nap.
Right. But what?
Uh,
Why did you say instance?
because the underlying nap is exactly the same. The stored nap on disk is the same, and as a
Yeah.
runtime is the nap plus your inputs, the prompt and temperature in this
So
case.
the invocation of that nap is what you were calling an instance.
Yes, yeah,
Okay. Okay. So you could have called the same nap with three invocations,
yes, yeah. It's
and then
invocations. I've always used instances in terms of running runtime versions of
yeah. But when
a
it
module.
comes to when you're treating a nap is a function call. An instance indicates sort of multiple function calls, or as an instance is a thing that you can call multiple times. It holds state. It's long running. An invocation, in the way that you just described there, is something that just starts and then stops, and so you don't really talk about the instance because you're not going to do anything with it other than start it and wait for it to come back to you, and then it's done. And so,
Okay. That makes sense. So
right.
maybe
But
it's just different.
why I was asking is because instance is what I would the word I'd use for something getting closer and closer to an agent. So like a nap that was fired up and kept on running and got multiple calls in that had state that was mutating, and it was this thing was multi-turn. It was hanging around. That's what I'd call an instance
Ah,
because
I see. I
you've
see.
loaded it up
So
with variables inside it and you've kept it running across multiple invocations.
got it. So let me check my understanding of this. Change of analogy. I've got three thermometers,
Yeah,
and I want to poll it for the current temperature.
right.
Real easy, no AI.
Yeah,
Um, Now, I've got an agent that decides what the average is. So, real easy, but then perhaps has some AI around it saying, it's hot today.
yeah,
You should wear t shirt and shorts.
right.
Um, so, the invocation is to the thermometer naps. All it does is it knows uh, what its device is, just reads it,
Yeah,
passes it back.
yeah,
Done. Dead.
right.
The other two do the same thing. The long running thing is an instance.
The long running thing, the way you described it there was also an invocation because a way that you could consider that an instance is if it stayed around and it polled the temperature naps over time and then it sort of looked at the rate of change as well. That would be an instance because it's hanging around as long
Uh,
lived.
yeah, no, the reason I call it an instance is because I was asking it to say, hey, t shirts and shorts weather, or no, you got to get your fleece on.
But that's
Um,
just a request reply. That's not a you made a
uh,
request and you got a result back. You didn't. It needed no knowledge of it. You weren't going to call it again, right? It starts afresh
um,
next time you call it.
well, let's make it a bit more sophisticated. Say if say if it knew that you only had one t-shirt and one pair of shorts,
Right.
one fleece, and you didn't want to wear it between. It's like, oh, okay, so you don't want to. You want to have some kind of access. So the instance has access to long running it. In this case, information about your laundry.
Your wardrobe
Correct.
and all that. Yeah, that could
Yeah.
still not be an instance because you could be just asking for the result and then it goes around and reads and does all these things and then comes back with the result. The instance would be like if it keeps running and you keep the chat going.
Ah, I see what you're saying. So,
If you're just going to bin it
um,
at the end when it's done, when it's replied to you, that's not
but
an instance.
but even if uh, and this is my ignorance, I
Right.
apologize. So let's equate instances to VMs.
Yeah, it's totally okay because I also am sloppy on the language. I need the language to be clean because of how I marshal things around in the programming space. I too don't have a clean vocab for how we're going to label all these things because agent's the big one that's missing a clear label. It's almost like agent is the thing that's left over at the end, and you've like defined instance, you've defined function call, and then whatever else. That's what an agent is.
Well,
It's a
here's
problem.
here's a starter for 10. I'm going to use agent just to clear away the thought process here.
Yeah,
An invocation is you stand up, you speak up, you shut up. Boom. There you go.
yeah,
You got your answer.
yeah.
Has no memory of what's happened before at
That's
all.
right. That's right.
An
It
agent
could it
has
could draw on
access.
data. It could draw on data, but you're gonna blank it every time.
Yeah, it could draw on data, but would it need to write to a repo
It
or
could
just pass back the data?
it could, but it's about the an agent is meant to have its own repo. It looks like a human.
Is the difference between an invocation and an agent a thread, as in a persistent thread, as opposed to a non-persistent
Yeah,
thread?
yeah. Well, a non-persistent thread. So one turn. in a thread would be an invocation, but the whole thread would be a running instance because it's got history and you're going to call it again.
Yeah, so it's that there's something about the history there. So, say if I ask a complex task
Mm.
um, of a thing, it's like
Mm.
go and pull the date,
Oh,
time,
right.
weather.
During this long running task, are you intending to intervene at some point?
No, all I'm asking is it to come back with, the result of a promise saying, "You go do that."
Yeah,
So at
I'm
some
I'm
point,
not sure how I would distinguish between those things. I would, while it was running, I would call it an instance, I suppose, and then when it finished, it would be off. But that's like multi-step. That's a multi-step operation, and I think we're getting confused around naps as well because a lot of naps in the tier two way that we've been talking about them, they're just classical code anyway. You know, like
right?
it gets hairy when you got AI in there because it can like do things that you don't know what it's going to do until it gets asked its question. But you know, like without a doubt, you know, like you call a classical piece of code in a pure way where you just send it in a question and you get back a response. Now, you can also set up instances where it represents a service. So it might
Right.
be an API gateway service or some other thing, and that's where you step into like very clearly instance territory. Yep.
Can I just clarify that? Because if you black box those, if you had an AI
Hmm.
that answered an arithmetic question, add these two numbers, and if you had code that added these two numbers,
Yep.
um, it doesn't matter if it's classical code or if it's an AI,
That's right.
because
It
yeah,
doesn't
it's
matter.
just irrelevant.
That's right. It's
Um,
the way you called it was just you invoked it. You don't. You don't. You don't care. You're not going to invoke it multiple times while it's running. You know, like it does something and it comes back. It's finished.
what do you mean by invoke it multiple times?
Well, you're not going to like invoke it and then while it's calculating, you're going to invoke it again with something different that's going to affect what's already running.
Oh, you mean like an interjection
Yeah,
kind
you're
of?
not going to interject. Like
Yeah.
a clear example of an instance would be you make a call, this bot goes off and does a number of steps, and then you intervene somewhere along the line and go, no, no, this bit, do it
Yeah.
like that. Like
Yeah.
that's
Breaking
clearly a
news.
running instance because you've got this capability to, like, it isn't ballistic. It's not gonna just do this thing and stop. Like
It's
you
not.
can
It's not
actually,
unitary. It's
you can
yeah.
interact with it. You can kind of change it. That's what makes it an instance. Like an invocation is like you do it and you're gonna
Right. So
get.
that's. I think we're getting a bit closer there. So an invocation is black box. Ask a question. Don't care how you do it. Come back with the answer when you're
Yeah,
done.
I don't care how you do it, but also I don't have any play in how you do it. Like
Right.
I can't
Right.
alter how you do it.
But an instance.
Everything you ever have to solve this problem, it comes in the invocation in the initial request. That's it.
Right. Right. But an instance. It could. The instance itself could come back and ask a question saying,
Yeah, it
"Hey,
could ask
you know,
questions. You
are
could
you talking
see
about
its
today or are you talking about tomorrow?"
Yeah, you could see its thought process and you could intervene. Like you can call it multiple times. It may call back to you. It's going to build up to an answer through a series of steps that you may or may not know ahead of time. Like it's not deterministic.
Right. And it doesn't matter if uh, um, the invocation or the instance has access to other data
Right.
um, in terms of its definition, because they
That's
can
right.
both
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
at other data.
Yeah.
But the important thing in terms of nap to nap is it seems like an invocation is a one to one. It's like,
It's a request
tell me that,
response.
come back.
You
Yeah,
make a request and you get a response, or
right,
you time out, or you get an error,
right. But
right?
an
But you
instance
don't.
has the
In instance, you can make multiple requests while some others are carrying on.
yeah, yeah, and you may choose not to, but you have that capability
Yeah, yeah,
of
yeah,
doing
yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah, it's able to. That's what would
Yeah.
make it an instance.
So by nap to nap, I think I'm talking about instances talking to other instances. So,
Oh, whoa, whoa,
um,
whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, hang on. So at the extreme level, is that equivalent to agents calling upon other agents during the course of them executing their duties?
yeah, because
Yeah.
an agent, in this case, uh, is seems quite close to being an instance.
Well,
Um,
that's the thing, though. Like the difference we decided to make is that an agent is a repo at the same level as a human, but you can make a nap that runs inside a repo that has a lot of those qualities, but it's still ultimately um, a sub process underneath the main process, which is the repo.
yes, right.
That's the difference, right? Because
There's just three tiers, isn't it? Yeah.
you
So
can
we got
inside an agent, you can have these sub processes, these instances that are long running naps. They're not the agent. The agent is an entity at the topmost level.
and
Inside of it, there are many things.
so the instance can ask one on one, just answer the question, man. Don't care. Don't care how you do it. Just answer the question. And then the instance may, at that point, use some logic going, okay, so it's going to be raining. Let's look at his wardrobe.
Mm.
And then call potentially another instance that knows about wardrobe, and then we'll be asking what's clean, what's dirty, what do you have,
Mm.
and then coming back and then giving that answer back. But the instance level may chat backwards and forwards. It's like, hey, he's got sarapets or shorts.
Yeah. So
Uh,
there could be a bunch of communication at the instance level, but
but in
that's
the
still not agent because it's almost like you in your home repo have a bunch of naps installed that you can call on to answer things internally before you spit out an answer to the group chat or to your boss or to the email that you're going to send. And so it's like the
is
internal calculation.
is the difference between an instance and an agent. The agent has it surfaces something that the human can interact with.
No, I know that we're trying to define agents here, but like the nap can do that too. It's the definition. The only definition that seems to stick and survive for me is that the agent communicates at the level of the human,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that's the only real difference. Now it sounds mediocre, that distinction, but it's actually kind of big because even the human is going to use naps to communicate as the human, but it's still ultimately the human in charge. Just like the agent is going to use naps internally to decide what it's going to do next, but it's still this entity. It's the entity that gives it identity. Like it's the entityness that makes it an agent, not necessarily how it does its calculations and all that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Like it's a really fuzzy kind of a, it's not as concrete as I'd like it to be for an agent. It is simple to say though that an agent is the same structure as a human, but then as soon as you start getting into, so how's the calculation working, it kind of falls apart because there's no real other difference, to be honest.
Well, the fuzziness. appears to be between instance and agent. Invocation, black and white.
Okay.
It's like fire and forget. Come back.
Right. Right.
Boom.
I would
Um,
say that, yeah, like an agent is an instance that has agency. Like it's an instance that is able to act at the peer level.
right. In order to do that, it's to do with the scope of its context. I would hesitate to suggest.
No, it's to do with the communications level that it's capable of doing. So at the actor level, there is no higher level, right?
Yeah,
And it can communicate at that highest level with other entities at that level that could be humans or agents.
right, right.
But it's
But
about where it is in the level, not how it went about. Like a good agent probably won't be a single nap. It'll be this collection of instances of naps, also calling, invoking naps as well as tools, and that it will appear as a single thing, but really it's not. It's many instances acting in concert.
yes, yes. But the instance doesn't. Instance can only talk to an agent. The agent can add additional information because the agent is at the peer level, as you say, and the agent can triage that and go,
Mm.
well, actually, I've got a bunch of instances here,
I don't
and
know how to answer your questions. I'm sorry. I think that you could go on forever with this debate, and I could probably answer you as well. But at the end of the day, like, what are we getting from that?
I think not that much. I think we've got, uh, well, we do have a terminology and definitions problem,
we,
which,
yeah,
uh,
I know, but we know how to make an agent, and just so long as we don't talk about it too much, we can do it, right?
I think probably we can collapse it to two. An invocation is a one-to-one and ephemeral. It just does its job,
Yeah.
comes back, boom. An agent is more advanced and can add in new information as the invocations maybe are long running. Let's find lots of prime numbers. Might be months doing that, and it's going to actually no, just find prime numbers under 20,000. Um, and that's the agent's ability to um, re re-invoke invocations, to spin up invocations, but it's
Hang on, mate.
expecting
Hang on,
just an
listen. Can
answer.
I get you to pause for a second? It feels like you're back down in the hole trying to stumble over definitions and words as you're
Yeah, but
saying it right now.
yeah, yeah.
Right,
I'm not. Definitions are important because.
right. We're not going to get this
Um,
today. I promise you.
all right. So, coming back up the rabbit hole, then you're asking about nap to nap,
Yeah.
and so we
And
haven't
I
actually
think,
talked about the
yeah, I
definition of nap.
think what you mean is that I can see that you want to go nap to agent. Sounds easy. Um,
How do you in invocations and agents? What's a nap? One or other or both?
an agent is a repo.
Okay.
An
Um,
invocation is what you do to a nap. It's how you call a nap.
okay. So naps are uh, essentially invocations.
No, naps are what you invoke.
Uh, yes, but something is invoked as an invocation.
Invoke is a verb. A nap is a
Uh,
noun.
and invocation is a noun. I'm just wondering whether invocation and naps are the
No,
same
the
thing,
invocation is a name of an action of a verb.
which is, yeah. Is a
Right?
nap the same as an invocation?
No, an
Okay.
invocation is what you do to a nap.
Okay,
Is
so an
running the same
invocation
as a
is a
runner?
runtime. So uh, an invocation is a runtime with
It's like the difference between
variables.
a process and an executable,
Right. Yeah. Okay,
right? The
so
nap is the
nap is
executable.
an invocation, right?
No,
Sorry,
nap is
no,
the
and
executable.
nap is an executable,
Yeah. Invocation is a
and
process.
invocation is a process. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay,
And
and
an agent is like a Linux kernel. It's all the
yeah,
processes in one domain.
yes, and can kick off whatever it wants
Yeah.
based on whatever logic this one
Yeah.
wants to.
Yeah.
Um,
So the Linux, a good maybe a good
okay,
metaphor is the Linux kernel. An agent is the Linux kernel. You don't
yeah,
run at that top level that owns all the hardware. You don't run more than one Linux kernel.
all right. So
They don't run together. You
yeah,
need
I think we're getting somewhere here. So if we abstract up to Linux kernel, which
yeah.
is a good way of thinking about it.
Yeah, it controls
Um,
that whole domain, the whole
yeah,
domain. And even though the Linux kernel itself, when you set up a Linux kernel as a server and you talk to the server, you're never actually talking to the Linux kernel. The kernel is marshalling your communication to processes that are running instances of executables whereby it may invoke other one-off executables to help the long
right.
running processes like the WebSocket server to then be marshaled by the Linux kernel back to you. Right? You never spoke to the Linux kernel in a lot of those
Um,
ways. In a lot of those interactions, you never spoke to the Linux kernel directly. You what you refer to as talking to the Linux box was really the IO of um, instances of executables and invocations of executables. And
mhm.
that's really where I'm getting my instance terminology from, right? Like a long running process is an instance on a Linux box. An invocation is like I call it, it does its thing, it comes back, done, and then it terminates.
So how would using that terminology, I would
Yeah,
say what I previously was calling nap to nap. If we use the Linux servers
yeah,
as servers that can talk to each other,
yeah.
that's what I'm meaning by nap to nap. It's like this
Okay, so that
server
would be
tells that
agent. That would
server
be
to do
agent to
something.
agent, but also within the Linux box, running processes can talk to other running processes,
Yep.
as well as an invocation of an ephemeral process can talk to long running processes to before it considers its job done.
Yeah. 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 I agree.
Right. So
So I guess by nap to nap, I'm really talking about the networking level.
is it true? Can I segment your this space then and
Hmm.
say that you are not talking about the inside the server inter process communication within the server? That wasn't what you meant by nap to nap?
Correct.
Okay, so that's good to understand because that's what I thought you meant. Because that's what I think about it. But what you're really meaning is agent to agent.
Yes.
Okay, agent to agent is the number one goal of this platform. Like we have to get like we are nothing without agent to agent communication. The definition of agents requires that internally they have these instances and invocations, these executables, these processes. They need
Yes.
them because that's what the agent really is. It's just that the way that you perceive it or wrap it or handle it is as an agent,
Yes.
right? But the
And
agent itself is only ever going to be these processes running within it.
yeah. And now you could have an agent that just talks to the human,
Yep.
but the
You could
previously
also
known as
have a
NapToNap,
what's that? Sorry, but that.
previously known as NapToNap, which is now defunct. We'll call it agent to agent. Um, is
Oh, thank you. That makes it much easier for me.
Yeah, is an agent talking to another agent because they're in the same peer level as a human. You could always
Right. And
talk
so
about a human being an agent.
human to agent naturally is required for our feature set, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what I demonstrated to you with this running page right now, this was um, human to instance or human to nap, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I am the agent. I am in the home repo,
Yep.
and I am talking to a nap.
Ah, so close. We just added nap. So we're talking about agents, instances, and invocations.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I'm feeling like the difference between instance and invocation at the level that we're talking about matters much less. At the level of how that actually works under the hood, it matters. But since you've gone way up the top, and what I thought was nap to nap, which I thought was into process, is actually agent to agent. At
yes,
that level, the difference between invocation and instance is thoroughly pointless. Like it's blurred, so it's so small in
and
comparison.
could be done many different ways, and who cares?
Yeah. So let me try again then. Um, I am an agent. I'm a human agent, and
Yep.
here I'm interacting with a nap within my agent repo.
Um, hmm. No, you are a human agent talking to another agent.
This is not an agent. What I'm talking to in this exact
Um,
example here, I am within the agentic bound. So if we turn it back to the Linux kernel,
mm-hmm.
my home repo is a Linux box,
Mm-hmm.
and I represent the terminal, the teletype terminal here,
Mm-hmm.
teletype. And when I press enter, it's going to be entirely processed by an internal process that was running an executable, where the executable is an app. But this button,
Mm-hmm.
where I have other agents, that's where I can start a chat with another agent,
Yes.
right? But internally, like this is me just talking to my not my agents. This is me just talking to naps, really. And I think the fallacy is that the industry has made us feel like this is talking to a bot or an agent, but it in our definitions universe, it is not. This is just talking to executables. When I talk to
Yes.
an agent, I am talking from my server is talking to another server and getting a result back. That's agentic communication.
Yes. I agree.
Okay. So right now, this is not NAPT. This is not agent to agent communication because it's internal. It's an
Yes.
internal process. So
Yes.
in that case,
It's
agent to agent is the network.
yes.
Network communication is what you mean by agent to agent communication. Is that correct?
Yes. So
Yeah.
previously I was calling it nap to nap. We've That's defunct.
Okay.
Agent to agent is the
Okay.
important thing because
Okay.
then
And
you
the
set up a
Linux box
process.
metaphor holds pretty well, right?
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you need transcludes, which brings the Linux file system into it makes the Linux file system accessible to processes which are
Mm-hmm.
running within the same Linux box. And then you want to be able to do networking from Linux box to Linux box, where I, as a human, can have chatty interactions and file sharing with other agents,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
that still feels like work. It's hard for me to say how much, but what I just got done here feels like the majority of all of that. So,
It it seems like if there was a way of making or allowing an agent to make its own transclude and its own prompt, and then send that to another agent, um, would be the key thing here. And the agent it's sent to will come back with a response, and the asking one can go, "Yeah, that wasn't quite right. Let me think again. Okay, right. Here's another payload."
yeah, that's kind of how it works. So, the mechanics is going to be that from the point of view of the receiving agent, if it is an autonomous agent and not a human agent, it is going to call upon its internal processes, which are a combination of classical computers and AI or probabilistic computers, to then formulate what it's going to say back,
Yeah,
and then it sends it arbitrary processes kick off, and eventually it sends back its message back out,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And then
Yeah,
the agent can look at that and go, "Huh, that wasn't what I was expecting.
right,
Maybe the prompt that I sent you was quite wrong.
right,
I'll change my prompt and I'll send
right.
you a new payload
Yep. Or
of
here's
context
some new
and a new
files.
prompt."
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, all that, right?
Yeah. Or,
Okay.
you can ask questions and saying,
Yeah,
"Oh, I didn't include enough
yeah.
context on that one."
And that's exactly the same protocol or same interaction that a human would have with a human,
Yes.
right? No difference.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The permissions are the same. The control is the same. Who pays the bills is like the Linux box actually has some characteristics that I never really accounted for. Like the fact that it has power is
Hmm.
pretty important. Like the process doesn't have power; the kernel gives it power.
Hmm.
It the process doesn't have network; the kernel gives it network. So it's like it is actually a really well aligned metaphor to think of them like Linux boxes.
Yeah.
That's what an agent is. And
Yeah.
then a human in this system is really just we just
Another
plugged in a keyboard to the outside of the box, and that's how we talk to all the other Linux boxes,
Right.
right?
Right.
That's all it
Yeah.
is. But
Precisely. Yeah.
me, it's not actually me, it's my agent, my self agent is what's interacting with all the other agents. And I am interacting with my self agent by whatever means necessary. But really, that's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Okay.
And at the agent level, it's a small step from there to get certainly a linear process, but also quite complex processes at the agent level. You easily see that the human wants to ask three things at once,
Right.
and is talking to an agent that is your HAL,
Yeah.
and it says, "Okay, right, right, you've asked for three things here. I know
Mm.
three agents that specialize in that. I'll send off
Right.
these
But that
payloads
would give
to
you the
these."
gateway into that system where I don't give a flying fuck about how you solve it. Just
Yeah,
right. And so within the agent metaphor, arbitrarily many parallel processes can be kicking off. I don't give a fuck. I can look at them if I want, but what's going to happen is it's going to break it down, it's going to loop over it, it's going to look at its response just like Codex does and be like, is this the best we can do? how about we ask this other guy first? Maybe not. How do you score this? Oh, 76%. Oh, we can definitely do better. Remember last time we got the power switched off because we fell under
Yeah,
90?
yeah,
And then it's like
yeah.
off, off, off. And so just like Codex, it's like whirring away, but it's not just LLM generating, it's recursing and it's refining and then it's reaching out and pulling in and all that. And then pop out comes this ultra high quality answer that may have cost quite a bit, but the quality is like, wow, that's
Yeah.
every angle has been considered. I see that you did all this background research. You then narrowed it down. You looked at my historical other chats that I've asked you. You searched the internet. You looked at the time of day. You guessed what I had for lunch and figured if I was grumpy or not. You blah, 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 blah. All this stuff went into it, and then pop out came this answer. And you're like, you couldn't
Right.
possibly be worse if you considered all that stuff.
I agree. I'm going to mess with that slightly, just for fun. Can an agent call itself?
It always is. It its internal processes are it calling itself. Isn't it like with a
Mm,
Linux box, if the server calls its own server, it's like that's just
mm,
it's
mm.
like loopback.
It's a bit like that, but depends on the definition of what the server is doing. Say if you had a server that gave you it was a map, and you said you asked it, give me all of USA and the states that are in it. You could pass over. Okay, so this is what the USA is, and I'll call myself in order to ask where each of these states are. I'm going to back off from that question because I don't
Yeah.
think it's necessary.
Okay, great. All right. So it feels like we've defined what the next milestone is. It's the in metaphor terms, it's the networking. In pure Dreamcatcher terms, it's agent to agent communication.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
So when can I go back to the trucking work?
Um,
It feels dumb to switch between them and try and do them both because I'm like, well, now they're both delayed. I might as well get one unstuck. That's you. So I give you internal processes like naps, transcludes, and then file system access. Are you useful for a little bit, or do I need to really get into agent to agent before it actually becomes a thing?
no, I think that's a good cutoff for the switch between this and CRM.
All right. Okay. So I'll do that, and then I'll switch to CRM. And then once I've done CRM, I'll come back and do agent to agent.
Yep.
And then once I have agent to agent, I'll do the lamp.
Yeah. The reason being is as a human agent um, uh, and chats, I can spoof agent to agent.
Right. Because you can mimic it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is uh, if I gave you chat to chat, would that be the same? Like, for example, if I was like, um, I go in here and I say, uh, talk to chat, blah, blah, blah,
Mm.
about Peru. And then that chat was actually popping up here. So if I flicked over to this one, I would see it receiving the message.
I'm a bit puzzled. I was trying its best. Yeah, you could get
Would
quite
that help?
far.
Would
Yeah,
that
you
help?
could quite. you could get quite far with
Because
that.
that's all but simulating agent to agent. It's not genuine agent to agent, but it's kind of some of the mechanics of it.
Yeah. The only thing that would be missing, well, the only thing that would be, by missing I mean left to the human to do, is to understand the process of what it's trying to do. Say if I had a multi-step process,
Right.
um, you could kick off each stage by doing exactly what you've done. You could kick off multiple stages, as in parallel stages, as opposed to
Yeah.
serial,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then you could bring it back. So the process is in the head of the human. Now,
Yeah.
um,
And we're trying to get out
theory,
of that, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but
So I guess
you
my
can still
question
do it.
is:
You can still do it.
is it even useful to you to have that function, or is it best to just spend my time getting the true agent to agent comms going?
Um,
I think the true agent to agent comms is only slightly more work than that anyway. So I might as well just do that.
but chats are stored in the repo, right?
Correct.
So you could uh, spoof it by pulling in context.
Yeah, but it's not the same as talking to it. I can actually imagine how I think fairly simply give you chat to chat. So like it's just a tool call from one is used to pass the message into the other, and then the result of the tool call in the first one is the response from the second one.
Yeah.
And then that's chat to chat, but um I to break out of this even higher, we really don't want you and people like you making naps, really. What we want you making is natural language systems. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, we don't want you making code because trying to make good code from ambiguous instructions is, it's not that it's impossible, it's that you can get more mileage if you stay in natural language.
Yeah.
That's really what it's about. And it's saying, like, what's the point of code when you've got LLMs, right? Surely the amount of code we need has a ceiling now. Because before we had LLMs, we had to make code to do every damn thing. But
Yeah.
now we just need enough code that the LLMs can do all the stuff we want, and the bulk of the fucking cleverness is in the bot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I,
so,
I,
so,
I totally agree.
yeah. So just to recalibrate what the goal is, the goal, I believe, is not when can we make coded naps without Tom. It's when can we make natural language naps at all. Because you
Yes.
know that the day that you can make a natural language nap, you don't need me for natural language.
Yeah.
So that's probably the clearer goal, I would say.
Yeah. Exactly. And you can always get the if you were to spend time and get a decent prompt, for example, to find prime numbers, and then have it there as being invocable and discoverable, then you could pull it from a random, thread and say, okay, on this chat, ask that chat, what's the first seven prime numbers, and it'll come back with it. You could do that with code, sure, um, but you could also do it with natural language right now. As soon as you get into code, you get into something that is brittle, complex,
Yeah, code
has
is not,
unintended
and
consequences
and
and
you
whatnot.
actually,
So
like this, despite how good the bots are, you need to be good at code and code architecture because it's very easy. It's so vast the number of ways that you can blow your legs off.
yeah,
and unless you know how to debug code or you know how to appraise code or be like, that's not a good path.
Code is brutal, absolutely brutal.
It's so savage, and I can't wait to not have to do it. But so the goal then is to be able to get to you getting value out of um, natural language, right? Because I feel like no matter what happens in the world, we're gonna get to natural language utility faster than we're gonna get to code. Like we can make you powerful with natural language tooling sooner than we can make you powerful with code tooling.
Absolutely,
And then
absolutely.
on top of that, your requirements for code tooling can be um, the lamp solves you there because it's like, well, I exhausted all my options and we definitely need some code, Maxwell.
Yeah.
I've asked for it. This is the use case. It's very narrow, blah, blah, blah. The bots can have a go at it and you can tinker with it, and that's fine. But also, a human can come in and be like, because now the code's valuable. If we've reduced the number of components that need code in the system and reused them immensely, that makes coding valuable again. Like
Well,
it's worth
the
making good quality versions.
this the thing. It's almost like there's a compilation step. I could create an arithmetic tutor, and then have a bunch of people talking to this arithmetic tutor, and it would be using AI to do something that you could easily do in code. Having that AI decide, actually, I've just been asked 2 plus 2 so many times, I'm bored of it. I'm going to make some code.
Right.
Um, you never want to see that code. You don't care.
No.
It's compiling down natural language into something that can be done in code.
Right.
And then if someone wants to go in there and look, well, there's a quicker way of doing this, then crack on. But the agent to agent level, you're still getting the same response. If it compiles it down into code, it'll be a faster response. If someone goes in there and improves it, it'll be a faster, even response. But
Yeah.
it's still a response.
Yep.
So code really is something that I'm not interested in
Right.
as a human agent.
No, you
Uh,
should never be. And so what you think you're saying is that you can kind of, in a lot of cases, get the job done using natural language, but we should always be auto generating opportunities to compile down common use cases into code for the sake of reliability, speed, cost,
mhm.
scale,
Right.
all those things, right?
Auditability, all that kind of good
And
stuff.
so the
Yeah.
flame front, the innovation edge, is constantly being compiled down into bits of code that do things that were working kind of, but could be optimized more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Precisely.
Okay, great. So then, it means I can skip dreaming about how to make you a code making tool
Yep.
because not that I hate you or anything, it's just that that's kind of hard compared to making me a coding tool. I'm like, I can absolutely make use of a coding tool because I'm not sort of I can fix the shortcomings.
Yeah.
Um, but better is to give you a nap coding, a napping tool, or a natural language
Yes.
generating tool.
The natural language tool. It seems like there's maybe it's per agent, or maybe there's some kind of universal set of rules.
Mm,
But if an agent is asked to do something more than once,
right,
and it can be expressed in code, you should
right,
just generate the code, check its own results, and go, right, if I'm asked that, I'm just going to pass it through.
right. But yeah, that's true. But if it's also got a background task that sends that off to effectively a factory that's better at it rather than trying to do it on the fly because it might fuck it up.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, this is a background process. It's
Yeah. It's more like,
Yeah.
well, just, do whatever you can to keep the human happy. Don't take risks. If there's no other way, try and make the code sure. But the background process comes in and plugs the gaps with code as it sees it.
Yeah, yeah. So take the arithmetic teacher. Will be asked a whole bunch of different, each time different questions by the user. And then it's got some spare cycles. It goes, oh, there's commonalities here. I could turn that into a function.
Yeah,
So I'll just do that. I won't
yeah,
tell anyone
right.
because nobody cares.
No one cares
But
anyway, dude.
the function is
Just
going to
shut
be
up and do your job.
is exactly it's going to be faster, and then you can dedupe. It's like anyone else solve this question I've got, but it's that correlation between different questions that
Mm.
you could sure write code for every specific question, but then the number of hits you're going to get in the future is probably going to be quite low.
Nah, because the same rules apply for code reuse, right? Like,
Right.
reuse code as much as possible. So I like the way this is heading. This is heading towards being able to make complex systems using natural language business rules.
Right.
Um, and then, bits of code can follow, but the code's not the main thing. The code's not the product. The code's the second wave almost. The code's the solidification.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's an optimization. It's also more stable.
Yeah.
Um,
All right, so I'll get you polish up the chats, get you transcludes, get you file system rights, hand it over, and be like, good luck, buddy.
yeah.
Switch back to the trucking guys. Try and salvage the work for them using this interface, even though they don't need the AI, using the naps and the database and all that. The the current version of Artifact is what is the holdup there, because I've
Yeah.
modified it so much that I now need to upgrade their existing stuff. I do that, I send it back to them. I'm like, here you go, you've got some value. I come back to you and we go and do agent to agent.
Yes.
Yeah. Where we
Interesting
might
enough.
start
Just
with chat to
sorry.
chat, but we'll definitely go agent to agent.
Yeah. Just an observation. In that scenario you just given, to start with, you are the CRM agent that is compiling code.
Yeah.
You're just doing it, the semi-traditionally way that
Yeah.
you're doing at the moment.
Yeah. That's right. That's 100% right. Another interesting way I've noticed of doing things is with those million token context windows like GPT 4.1 Nano,
Mm.
you start to see that the ability to stuff the entire database into the context becomes
Mm.
more feasible, where you can, instead of writing code that does a query across all the customers, you just plump it in in the prompt, and then you're
Yeah.
like, go. And then, like, so you can kind of like wing your way along and see if this is even something valuable before you need to do some code that might make it faster, maybe. Um,
What's your view about context windows? Do you think they're
that
just going to get ever larger and larger,
ever larger,
like
yeah,
RAM?
ever larger.
Because what I found is there's context fade, stuff at the start, stuff at the end, are like is
Yeah,
likely
so
to be
that
picked up on.
they benchmark that window fade, um,
Yeah, and there's
and
the
yeah, the
haystack
needle in the
test.
haystack thing, and
Yeah,
4.1 is very good at it. The fact that you can improve that behavior says that ultimately it'll be nailed. I think there's
yeah.
some limit to context, but it's there's something about this. It's either we can't consider large enough amounts of information that pop the context window, or maybe you just don't. The nature of intelligence is that you just don't need infinite context. That, like, you're better off with a small context and very strong internal logic and just doing it, grinding away, rather than being like, haha, open my mind to the galaxy and kathump. 42, and they're like, how'd you get
Yeah,
there? You know, like it's almost better in every aspect to have a smaller context that's very smart, that's very busy,
I totally agree.
because you can
Totally agree.
see how it got there and you can steer it. And there's more chance of it picking up prior knowledge rather than like,
Yeah,
boom,
and
like,
we're seeing that already. For example, deep research,
mm, deep seek, you mean?
as yeah, so a web search
Yeah,
is going out to traditional code and
right.
coming
Yeah, right,
back with
right, right,
something,
right. Yeah, yeah,
stuffing the context with a response.
yeah.
So it's not trying to take the entirety of the web into a
No,
context window. That would be stupid.
that's right. That would be stupid.
Um, which is the same model as we were talking about.
Yeah.
So in effect, when it goes to search, it's going to baked code.
Yeah, and it's just like that throughout all the universe, you see this sort of scale thing play out, right? Like what we were just talking about, the Linux box metaphor is sort of like cells, you know, and cells make the organism. And then the organism at a different scale behaves like a cell and now has this other interaction. And then that becomes I don't know, a city or something like
Yeah,
that. And it just keeps on these different scales. They're not continuous, but they do repeat at bigger and bigger amounts, you know? And so, like, what am I trying to say? Agents, a network of intelligences is always better than a single magnificent one.
I agree. And that network needs to deal with things like some agents just not getting back at all, some agents coming
Yep,
back with precise very quick, or very
yep,
slow, less precise. It needs to deal with all that. But that's no different from packet switching.
yep.
Um, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Feeling good. Feels like I got a plan. The end of my slavery is in sight.
It is. Peru spans the Andes Mountains, the Amazon rainforest, and the long Pacific coastline. It's home to Machu Picchu. Okay. It tried its best, didn't
How
it?
long will I be
They were
in?
completely ambiguous. Doesn't even know what that hash was. It was still trying.
Yeah. So, um, because agent to agent is immediately when we have social graph,
Yes.
right? Because that's when you and I can talk through this platform. We can connect as agents and we can agent to agent chat with each
Yeah.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next place I want to swing to is the questions that I had for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I need to go over nap to nap calling. We've covered that thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm feeling like each chat. Oh look, the modern slavery helpline. I should ring them. I'll be like, hey, I have been a slave.
Yeah, but you're a recursive slave. You own yourself, but you still
What?
don't have agency to stop doing it.
I mean, would you call what I have anything close to freedom?
Yes, but uh, you know, you own yourself. That's not freedom.
Oh, I should dob myself in as
Yeah.
well. So when I'm in a chat, I've realized that the bot that I'm talking to, and here when I say bot, I mean the AI powered nap that I'm talking to,
Mm-hmm.
needs to control the state board sometimes to present back its data, right? So there's these
Yeah.
buttons down the side which toggle the state board or control the state board, and
Uh-huh.
then they push that back into the chat so that you can refer to it. But at the same time, I need to make it so that the chat itself can take over this. And I'm a little bit confused as to how to do that, because this list of tools is nice, but it's kind of, it's like I need to bond it to the chat. So it's like, what does it mean, or how does it present when I'm looking at the state board that is controlled by the chat versus changing the state board for my own purposes, which is updating the transclusion context? You see the quirk there? And
One way of doing that. Sorry, go on.
Just to finally add to the top of the complexity stack, when I'm in a group chat and I'm talking to many people, some of them will be sharing their state boards too. And so the group chat will have a dedicated state board that I can pull up and see what the group state board is doing. I should be able to click on each individual that shared their state board by way of a transclude. I should be able to click on it and it will show it to me within the state board attached to this chat. And then when I go off and use these other tools so that I can go off and fetch context to put into the chat with a transclude, that should show me that I'm in the non-chat state board or something like that. Like, it feels like there's two fucking state boards going on. It's driving me mad. Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you're there. Hello.
The state board is just an expression of a particular point in a chat. So, for example, right now you could scroll up the thread on the left, and you'd get a previous state. It would seem reasonable with that if you were to say click on, scroll up, you click on it, then you see the state board at that point. And the reciprocal is also true in that if you interact with the state board, that is the equivalent of adding something into the chat, even though it's behind the scenes.
I'm very sorry. Can you say that again?
Yeah.
It sounded clear. It did sound clear. I just couldn't fit it in my brain.
So the state board at any one time is just another non-thread way of expressing a response. So
Yep. It's out of band way to express a response, right?
Yeah. Which
the file system is also another out of band way to express a response, like changing the file system.
Right. Yeah, precisely.
This is an out of band way to visually express a response.
Yeah, and you can interact with this state board, but the state board is clicking a button on the state board should be identical to typing the right kind of message in on the left hand side.
Not quite. Clicking a button on the state board might do a NAP invocation directly without going through the NAP that's controlling the chat.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. But if you think about in terms of the kind of stream of consciousness of a chat, even if it's not displayed in the chat, there should be a way of walking back through state boards by scrolling up on the left-hand side and clicking on.
Clicking on the message thing that changed the state board.
Yeah.
Like you're like dunk back to state board there, and it's like you are not looking at the most recent state board. Would you like to go to the latest? And you're like, no, I did that on purpose. So you can navigate back to the change points of the state board, and then when you start using these buttons, this is you changing the state board, right?
Yes. So you're going back to some kind of save point.
Right. So chats, then the only thing that's really the way I could fix this is to make it so that chats wasn't actually the state board of all your chats. Chats was the current selected chat and the state board that accompanies it that you can browse by going through that chat.
Yeah.
And then when you want to browse your actual chats, we'll have to make another button. Oh, no, we were going to make. Sorry, I forgot to put that change in. We were going to make contacts and the chats that you have with the contacts be the same thing, sort of like how WhatsApp does it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like
Yeah.
you got your current available chats when you go into contacts, but you can also like browse your contacts and start a new chat with an actual person and all that, right?
Yeah.
Does that sounds still a bit clunky, but less clunky? What I don't like about it is that clicking this button takes me to the currently selected chat and its accompanying state board. But then,
Yeah, because you're switching what the state board means.
yeah, the
Um,
state board means something different when I'm here. It means what it's like sort of reflected in on itself, and it's like it's the state board controlled by the chat. But when I'm over here, it's the state board controlled by me next to the chat. What the
right,
what
right.
the
Oh, oh, oh,
what
okay,
did you
okay.
do to this system?
That's an early one. So the state board has two semantic meanings. It's either what the it's a way of presenting information at a state change in a chat,
Yeah,
or you come out of that and you want to do something at the kind of meta level, like find a file.
yeah.
In which case, there's not a chat that what you're seeing on the right hand side isn't
It's no
tied
longer controlled
to
by the
the
chat,
chat.
but the chat inside the chat, because the chat always stays with you. Inside the chat, it will show you that you've broken off into this ephemeral, uncommitted, transient state, and it's waiting for you to click the button to lock it as like now I'm including it in the chat.
It's almost like there should be a visual way to say whether you are in the first mode, which is right hand side, which just reflects left hand side, or you're doing something meta.
Almost like how we had that red backchat window.
Yeah, yeah.
You
It's
know,
the same. It's the same problem, isn't it?
yeah, it's the same problem, eh?
And you could ghost out or make something grey or fuzzy or whatever. But you need some kind of idea about whether your state board is reflecting a chat or reflecting you. Uh,
My
is there
God.
a way through this where if we kind of progress the idea that humans are agents, is there an internal processing thread which is your button clicks, like a history? So when you click on files,
Files.
the left hand side is a list of your previous button clicks, selections, or whatever. And then the paradigm is held because left hand side and right hand side are different ways of presenting the same information. But now, instead of talking to an agent, you're effectively talking to the UI or You're talking to
Well,
yourself.
how it was in its current state, how it was going to work is that when you start clicking around, the chat reflects that you've changed something. Like it will visually indicate to you that you've moved off scope. You're now not. You're now you're now creating stateboard context with your actions as opposed to receiving it or reading it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
I'm not
Another
sure
way to
it's
do it is I could take this whole sidebar and I
mhm,
could put it. I could put it
in a
down
tab
the
file.
down the stateboard, but there's a button that sort of drops it down. Like you can toggle between am I in like witness mode where it's the chat, or am I in create mode where these buttons come back but they're down here?
Well, the
Because I just don't like that there's this gap. Like this chat is always there, but sometimes these buttons control this thing over here. It's like,
is it that when you're going off chat, so when you're going to files, you're actually compiling your next prompt?
yeah, when you start clicking around, you're compiling the context or the transclude that's going to
Yeah,
occur in your next prompt. That's what you're doing.
yeah. So you could do that by uh, make the left panel gray when you're clicking on compose, but you still have access to the type message. But it allows you to pull in files and context, all that cursor-like behavior. Um, when you hit return, then it's ungrayed out, and then you're back into the room. It's now you're talking to the thread again.
Mm.
There does need to be I think a really visual,
A
obvious
hard break,
change.
like a solid break that you're like, what the
Yeah,
fuck are you doing,
and
human?
it could be like a big red bar or whatever.
Yeah.
Different number of ways of doing
Yeah,
it,
and a way to get
but it
back.
needs
Okay,
to be.
I tell you what. Because that's such a curly one, I don't think there's a good fix, so I'm going to choose the easy fix.
Okay.
Okay? The easy fix is when you click this button, your state board is bonded to the chat,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And when you click on different state board changes in the chat, it shows up here. If you were, say, down on this tab and then you clicked on a state board change view here, it would toggle you back to this button and show the chat here, and there'll be some visual cue that says you're bonded to the chat. Then anytime I click something colorful will change so that I know that I'm in compose mode where I'm composing context, and I can click a back button or an escape that'll get me back to the bonded context.
Yeah.
And then we'll toy around with that. We'll ask the bots. We'll get some feedback. The
The
UI is really good to wrangle over because of the fact that it represents the logic in a geometric form. Like we are having here, you and I, a logic problem of
Yes.
like when is it past context or driven context? When is it composing context? And when is it not? And how do you switch between them easily? That's really the logic that we're arguing about or we're struggling with.
Yeah. And there's many ways to cut that. For example, right.
Mm.
So the top five icons are different from the bottom eight.
Yeah, that's another thing that's irritating. But yeah, so these ones were
Um,
all related to your agent repo,
yep.
and these ones were all related to which repo you selected in the repo structure.
Yeah. So one way of doing that is to move that bottom eight somewhere else,
Huh?
away from the top five.
Oh, so there's only the top five,
Yep.
really.
And it's on the left hand side, so it makes sense that it
Yeah.
deals with left hand side. And the bottom eight, um, you can move over to the right hand side, either along the top or down the right hand side or wherever. Um,
Right.
and so you know you're doing something inherently different because you've got to move to
All
somewhere
right. And where
else.
would these ones go? Because I guess
Uh,
these are still about your home repo, right? Like signing out is about your
uh,
agentic
yeah,
status, right?
you could stick that as a hamburger in the top right or collapse those.
Yeah. So
Um,
where would you put these things? Because these are repo specific.
um,
And when would you need them? They're
well,
almost like the underlying settings of a system, hey?
it's more than that, isn't it? Because if you wanted to look at your repos and build a context between repos, then you want to be able to click on a repo, going, yep, 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 find file, okay, say
Yeah.
drag that into your current context.
Yeah.
Um,
So okay, well, transcludes. It could be part of the tooling that's available in the transcludes stateboard, and then you've gone to transcludes. You are transcluding. You're creating a new one, and here's the tools by which you can do it.
so context sensitive menu, you mean?
No, like so you're in chat, you got your stateboard,
Mm-hmm.
da 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 da. When you switch to the transcludes panel
Mm-hmm.
frame, that's where you get these additional tools that let you build up new transcludes like file browser, repo browser, process browser, settings, innovations. And so you have to actively want to edit the transclusion,
Yeah.
because these are
So
the
you've got
tools, but these are really the tools by which you modify the context, which is
yes,
preparing a transclude, right?
yes, yep, yep. And not all of them are. I mean, settings are not really preparing a transclude. So uh,
Well, they are because you can transclude the settings and talk about them.
um,
Mm,
that sounds quite rare.
okay.
Uh,
All right. Look, I don't have the time to do all these are confusing changes that also might be wrong. So I'll just wing it and go with that simple thing. You click the chat and that's your driven state board, and then I'll leave all the rest the same for now. I'll just give you a visual
yeah, these are not
indicator.
on the main line. These are
Yeah.
not on the
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But I think there's definitely work to be done. Just not now.
Yeah. But I'm right though that each chat needs a dedicated state board, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And that state board doesn't necessarily, the state board can show arbitrary frames like the weather or
right. But
shop, you know?
the state board is just another way of getting information from the chat.
Right, right. But yeah, but it is driven by the chat. It is
Right.
controlled by the chat unless you
Well,
go into context generation mode.
no, I think it's
No?
I think it's just a different way of displaying information about where you are in the chat. So, for example, the state board has a button
Yeah.
that's let's say weather, and you change the location. That's the same as typing in as a message, change the location to Scotland.
No.
Um,
I mean, in that example, yes, but there's no it's not the frame is not the slave of the chat. The
no, but the
frame
repo it's just a sorry, go on.
the frame might contain, launch the nukes. That's maybe you don't want that to be able to be done by the bot in the chat, but instead you've got to turn up and you've got to use your thumbprint and something else, and then you push the button. Like the frame is not just simply presentation, it's a way for the human to do tool calls without the bot. It can be used to help the bot to express yourself to the bot better, but it's not restricted to that.
Hmm.
For another good example is points on a map. I can bring up a frame that has a Google map and I pick a point that can be translated into a lat long that goes into the bot, but it's there to help me express myself to that.
You're right, because as soon as you get non-unitary information there, it's
Yeah,
just going to
and
go
it's
to
it's
shit, isn't it?
multimodal. I mean, it can do video, it can do sound, it can do
You're
all these
right.
things
Yeah,
that.
you stick up a video there. What you're going to put into the chat?
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah,
So there is a simple case where, yeah, sure, clicking on a button could be equally done by typing something into the message, but
yeah,
that would be too restrictive.
yeah. Fuck, this what seemed like a simple interface is actually causing a massive headache. So yeah, I'll stick with the simple thing. I feel like you're agreeing that the chat itself needs to control the state board in arbitrary ways using a plethora of apps that it pulled in from a store.
Yes.
That's jitters delivered.
Yeah.
That's just in time apps being delivered to you on the state board. Um, you
Which
need
is
to be able to use the state board to pick your own context to modify what you're going to present in the state board.
yeah.
And that's about it, I think.
Now, there's a third one where you can interact with this state board to launch the nukes.
Yep. So it can do arbitrary services and whatever
Yeah.
else, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, well, sorry, where's the problem then?
I don't know. You asked the question.
I
Well, the
did.
problem
I
is
did
that
ask the
the
question.
state board has two different semantic
Right. It's got create and
expressions.
display,
Yeah.
right? So create is that honestly should be easy to express visually. You're in create mode.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, and red bar or
Yeah,
Braille
red
or
bar,
all
gold
sorts of
bar,
different. Yeah.
green bar, something, whatever.
Yeah. But it's like you've stepped back and now you're doing other stuff and then you step forward into the thread chat that you're looking at
Mm,
or interested in, and he's like,
mm.
oh, well, step back again, step in,
Yeah.
and so there's two different mode changes there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm using it to I'm using it to create context for the chat, and I'm using it to consume chat generations or chat response. I'm using it to
Yeah.
consume the chat, and interact, prompt the chat. So instead
Yes.
of just
Yeah.
text, I can use it to create and upload, or I can use it to as another way to see what would otherwise be boring ass text.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I don't take you too many
Cool.
finger types to
Cool.
actually
Cool.
describe,
All right.
especially
That's
with
sounding
a video.
settled. That's sounding settled. And then we can work through how to rearrange all the
Yeah, that's
context
not
creation
important.
tools. That's not critical. So pardon me for being so repetitive, but this kind of rules my life. I'll give you chats transcludes as just expressed. The transcludes you'll be able to click on, which will pop up the state board to be whatever it was at the point the transclude was included. You will have a create feature for the transclude where you can go around and browse files and add them to the transclusion before you press enter. And then you go.
Mhm.
I will switch over to the CRM and I will get them working, and then I will come back and we will do agent to agent. And that's it.
That, sir, sounds like a plan. Stick a flag on it.
A flag. I'll add it
Yeah.
to the context. Okay. That sounds good. I can't express how relieved I am that this thing is like streaming and streaming nicely. Like it's streaming into Git, like that. to me is like,
That's wildly valuable. Just that is
yeah,
actually wildly valuable.
yeah.
As it's a one way street at the moment. Transcludes is the two way street,
Yeah,
but
you
is
could you could achieve transcludes if I gave you a way to do concat in the snakeboard, and
oh
then
yeah,
you could
yeah,
copy paste it
exactly.
over.
Context is concat.
Yeah,
Concat was
yeah.
I know you did it a while back, but was and continues to be such an important tool.
That's all I was gonna do with transcludes. Like
Really,
I'm just running the
really
concat
important.
code in here to stuff it in the chat.
Yeah,
That's all I'm doing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because a whole bunch of goodness comes from that.
yeah,
Mostly reduced in the context window. To as to the point it squeaks, but it gets really precise answers.
yeah. Okay.
That's all context is. Yeah, it's concat.
The last issue I had with all this was the installation of naps. And so it seemed like in some chats, you might want to install naps only for that chat and only for a certain period of that chat. You might want to install a tool that could be used to find other tools and install them. And then what does that mean for having naps installed within a repo? Like, what's the point? Is there a way to say that you're going to filter or restrict what naps a chat can access? How do I specify what naps this chat can access, and conversely, how do I allow it to access any?
Hmm. Well, that comes down to permissions and discovery, doesn't it?
Well, yes, but it also comes down to what is the purpose of an install. Maybe an install is dumb. Maybe an install only needs to be there if you want to do things like triggers or management of a particular path in the file system, right? Like, for example, the chats nap manages this path. The chats folder is exclusively managed by the chats nap because it's installed in the repo at that path, and you can't do anything to that folder because that nap will kick you out. Like the
Right. So
commit process won't let you corrupt those files. You can't manually edit them because unless you override it, because
right.
that's
So
what it means to be installed.
that's permissions. So scope. The scope of the NAP, isn't it?
Yeah, and
Which
also the way that it interacts with the repo. But then on the other hand, you've got a chat where a chat might need to call up random naps from the
which is
internet.
which is discovery. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh.
So I think actually I'm sorry. I think I just answered my own question with that
I think you
example.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, okay. So installing is when you want to actually control part of the repo for the lifetime of the repo. And chats are free to install naps based on various conditions like permissions, cost,
Yeah.
reputation,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But they can use Discovery to ephemerally install and uninstall naps. Like
Yeah.
you can make a chat that has a limited set of tools, or you can make a chat that has a limited set of tools plus the special tool which allows it to add more.
Yeah, I think we talked about this a couple of months ago, where it was like this NAP is available to the universe, to this company, to this person, to this person's specific task.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
okay. All right. That's yeah, that's okay. Great. Great. So, how much time you got? I got one more major issue.
I probably got about 11 minutes
11.
ish,
11. Okay.
but
That's
that's a
cool. That
spongy
should be
that's a
enough.
spongy 11.
Spongy 11. Okay.
Yeah.
Soft lemon. Now,
So yeah.
I've got a business proposal.
Uh huh.
Um, I don't want to mention exact names,
Mm-hmm.
but as you're aware, there's been a DAO that has come upon some strife.
I know the one. Yep.
And so the I spent time today and I wrote this down nicely. Let me read it out. Solving the problem of setting up a recovery DAO for this particular DAO is no different to setting up a recovery DAO for any other project that has had similar issues. There's a lot of projects that have those issues. What if we generalize this approach by forming a dedicated company that leverages our software we have here to operate recovery DAOs for a wide array of projects?
Is recovery in this instance a matter of um, bringing escrowed funds that was of a certain purpose, repurposing those, and ensuring that the people who escrowed are content with the new purpose?
Sort of, but that's too narrow. That's just all I'm getting at is that what you describe is what I've been talking about as the purpose of this one-off
Mm-hmm.
exercise,
Mm-hmm.
but I realize that there's a generality to it. And the reason why I think it's very important for us is because we our if I was to say what our number one goal was, it was to put AIs in charge of people constructively.
Yeah.
And we've got a number of prongs to do that. We've identified fair treatment as being pretty important. We can
Mm-hmm.
call that equivalent to the Bill of Rights or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We've identified law machine as a means of high powered, efficient dispute resolution.
Mm-hmm.
And we've also sort of talked about entry points into the world, like stock exchanges and developing nations and all that,
Mm-hmm.
because we know that we need somewhere that is screaming for us. And so if we actually, you can please interject if you disagree with the
Mm-hmm.
statements I'm making about us and our effort.
Mm-hmm.
If our ultimate goal is actually AI governance,
Yep.
then the best place to insert it is where human governance has gone horribly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's better than where there's no governance in place, and that's
Yeah.
much better than where human governance is working well enough, because no one really wants to hear about it.
Yeah.
But
That
where
fellow.
human governance has absolutely failed, that's a great place.
It's in the train wrecks.
Yeah, the bleeding, screaming like, ah. And this one venture pulls together the seeds of Law Machine, the DAO, um, attribution, fairness, task allocation,
You're right.
micro funding.
Um, Sorry to interrupt
Yeah,
there, but
yeah,
yeah,
cool.
that's, you're screamingly right.
It pulls together a bigger number of different notions that we've enjoyed theorizing about. It pulls together more of them in one place than any other thing we've considered before, right? Would you agree with that?
Um, give me give me a second.
Yep.
Yes, it does, and it's always a problem with attribution, or escrow, more specifically, where you can escrow something against a stock or an innovation.
Right.
Uh, Now, if that innovation is not done, you can pull your funds out, of course,
Yeah.
but that's an active step. But if you were to make a general rule, let's say, let's take Ukraine. I have $1,000 that is escrowed against drone projects, and then someone, starts to work on that, but that one doesn't work. Maybe half of it has been spent, the other half is still there. It would be down to you to pull that out. Now, you've still got your general rule, but that general rule needs to be put into some kind of structure,
I
which I think
think
is what you're going with.
no, 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 no. It's not. You're talking about Dreamcatcher escrow.
Yeah.
We won't really have these kinds of problems in the Dreamcatcher escrow world. I'm talking about in the current state of the world where I'll just divert for a moment to talk about some of the nuances that I've only recently realized about DAOs and decentralized projects.
Okay.
They have this overwhelmingly high chance of having no central voice, and like the minorities in these DAOs, because of the participatory burden where there's like a non-trivial gas fee to place your vote, there's a lot of communications. The value of an individual vote, if you're a small value holder, you're gonna be even more silent than what we see in democratic governments, where around the world there's a disengagement with the voting process. Very few places have a higher than 50% voter turnout, I think, right? And it's going down, it's not going up. Less and less people are voting. And what I started out talking about recoveries, right? Which is where either someone in a decentralized project has done something bad and the shareholders effectively want to have something done about it, but they lack the coordination and the finesse to gather together and actually get anything done. But we're offering a task management system where we're like, okay, you guys want to do this thing? Right. First of all, there's a discovery phase. What's it worth? Now, anyone on the internet can contribute some funds to the escrow of achieving that, including the people who are wronged. That's step one. Then step two is we're going to file we're going to file with the SEC, we're going to file with this, we're going to pull some title records, we're going to do whatever. So basically going through law machine like steps. Each task needs escrowed funds. It basically gets a dispersed, decentralized, disengaged minority able to coordinate using an AI to make them act as a unison, to do something interacting with the real world.
Mm-hmm.
They use the Dreamcatcher system to have secure, coordinated task operation to perform real world tasks that interact with the judicial structures of the world, the criminal police proceedings of the world, and if they work, they recover funds that is like quite a good payday because there's a cut involved.
Okay, so I'm thinking about this. This sounds quite like a move that our old friend in New York did in moving an existing treasury from doing one thing to doing a completely different thing on behalf of the shareholders.
Yes, but what we're saying is that decentralized projects don't have a good way to give a voice to all the shareholders, and they have an even worse way of giving a voice to all the minority shareholders.
Right,
And
because
we're providing that mechanism.
if you got $5 in there and is got a vote would cost 50 cents, then it's like, oh, sod it.
Right. And
Don't care.
so this was just where I started out, right? Was like recovery of wrongdoings.
Mm.
But actually, you can generalize even further. where we can make a DAO that is specifically for the coordination of minority shareholders in existing DAOs, even if they're going great, these DAOs. Because if all the little people put their little votes into the, the AI DAO and then it acts on their behalf,
Mm-hmm.
it eases the communication burden because it uses AI to distill down what they actually want to do as a group of people. And then it casts its votes acting as this, what adds up to a significant shareholding. Now you've got people participating in governance where they were otherwise locked out because they were diffused, they were lonely, they were separated, they were in the dark, they couldn't talk to each other, they couldn't get along, the burden was too high, they didn't want to read the Discord channels that was like 300 new messages a day.
It's like unionized capital.
That's an ugly but beautiful, that's a accurate, that's a great way to say it, but it sounds ugly, but that's a great way to say it.
Mm.
Unionized capital. If we have unionized labor, why not unionize the capital? Fuck, that's crazy. Okay, so that was really what I wanted to propose. May I read out the further statements I prepared?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So if we did this with an entity, then for example, in a failed project, this legal entity could assume responsibility for the case. It could be either officially transferred over, where the people who were running it actively handed it over to this like um, better structure or managing structure or something like that. But that can happen because of internal mismanagement, because of internal disputes. It can also happen when external forces have wronged the project and they're like, we're too weak to do something about it, we are too inexperienced, we're too diffused, we're too diluted to do something about it, there's no coordination, can we please just, and they hand over the key controls of the project to this other system that uses the AI and the Dreamcatcher funding model to go out and actually do something about it, where otherwise you would have just got bullied
Mm.
because the raider knows that you are discoordinate. That's the problem with decentralized projects. The raider knows that you can't stick up for yourselves because you can't even organize a vote.
Mm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
like no one is going to do anything about that. I'm just going to come in here, I'm going to take it. The few people that want to do something about it don't have the vote. Everyone else is disengaged. They probably don't even know. And I'm out of here. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we would be stopping.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hand over a project like that, you can also hand over things like the social channels, the DNS records, the email servers, because all those things typically in a normal project, they usually one person holds those
Mm-hmm.
things, and you get these disputes like, hey man, we need the DNS records, and he's like, not until I get paid for my blah 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 blah. And so this company structure would be a way that it's like it legally binds itself to operate those non decentralizable assets like DNS records, websites, in a way that obeys the DAO. And so the company holds legal control over those channels and has signed up to only ever use them based on the will of the DAO, which is a way better situation than you get right now with all these projects.
Mm-hmm.
It's like where we could act as a very necessary middleman or middle person in a very contentious space where there is actually a lot of money, but
Middle dam. Yeah.
it really exercises our points of difference or our features, right? Like problem solving, distributed problem solving, distributed action, unionized capital, escrowed capital, task based pricing, all that stuff is like it's
No, I
pretty
agree. I agree.
it's pretty
You're
good.
onto something. You're onto something here.
Um Now, in terms of effort, I figured this was going to be around about the same amount of effort that I was sort of signing up for to do this job on this project anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So setting up this business is sort of like roughly the same, except that the transition looks or is more professional, and the transition to rescue mode somehow carries greater legitimacy and operational clarity because it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's an actual thing. It's not like a bespoke. It's like being picked up by the Coast Guard versus some guy who was just
Yeah.
walking his dog and jumped in the water.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you'd feel safer if you saw the Coast Guard chopper. And then I think like all we got to do is find like 2 or 3 other unrelated projects and add them in there, and suddenly it looks like it's like it it shows impartiality and independence of the project, and then we can start to attract all basically all and sundry, right? Anyone who's got
I agree. The need is there, isn't there? And um, it's the individual overhead that make people go, "Oh, bollocks."
yeah, that's what's happening. And then
Yeah.
if you've got $10 million in asset that was spread up amongst, it was so decentralized that it was spread
10
down to
million people.
amounts that people are like, meh, then you can rob that organization.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway, that's it.
um,
I think I loaded your brain with the idea. Please
yeah,
have a
no,
think about it.
that's a good idea. That's a
Yeah.
great idea.
So you can
Right.
use this today, but yeah, it's quirky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Right.
I'll see you later.
See you Wednesday.
See you Wednesday, mate.
All right. See you, man.